Hello, boys and girls. I'm Mrs. Porter, and welcome back to the Literature Lighthouse. You are going to have a great story time today, full of light and joy and wonder through one of my favorite books, Dahlia by Barbara McClintock. And I'm going to give you a hint. With Barbara McClintock books, you might need to press pause and really look at the illustrations. I want you to watch what Dahlia's face does on the pages. It is such a great book. Have you ever received a gift that you really were not excited about? In fact, you kind of hated it, but then all of a sudden you started to like it more and more? Well, that's sort of what happens in the book Dahlia. So, are you ready to listen? I'm ready to read. Here we go. Dahlia by Barbara McClintock. It was a beautiful blue morning. Charlotte and Bruno were making mud cakes when Charlotte's mother called. There was a package for Charlotte. Inside was a doll. Her painted mouth was prim. She was dressed in linen and lace and delicate silk ribbons. Frail hands were covered with thin gloves. Charlotte found a note. Dear Charlotte, I saw this doll and thought of you. Tell your mother I'm coming for dinner. Love, Aunt Edmie. Charlotte didn't have a doll. Charlotte didn't want a doll. She carried the doll upstairs, thinking at any moment it might break. In Charlotte's room, among the dragonflies and boxes of beetles and bound birds' nests, the doll looked out of place. We like digging in the dirt and climbing trees, Charlotte confessed to the doll. No tea parties, no being pushed around in frilly prams. You'll just have to get used to the way we do things. The doll looked concerned, but said nothing. Bruno and the doll were lowered down in a basket from the bedroom window. Charlotte climbed after them. They finished making mud cakes. The doll tasted one. She seemed to like it. Charlotte and Bruno made boats from sticks and leaves and sailed them down the stream. The doll looked on with pleasure, Charlotte thought. To Charlotte and Bruno's surprise, the doll took to fishing very well. When Charlotte wiped the doll's face dry, her painted mouth blurred into a soft smile. They dug in the flower bed, planting many small stones. You look like one of Mother's flowers. Dahlia, that's a perfect name for you. Dahlia looked back brightly. Dahlia eagerly joined in Bruno's favorite game of toss up in the air and land in a heap. Her cheeks and chin grew brown and warm. The exercise seemed to do her good. Dahlia sat next to Bruno in his wagon, and Charlotte took them for a ride. You're not jealous, are you, Bruno? Whispered Charlotte. Bruno didn't mind at all. At the top of the hill, a cluster of boys stood with their wagons ready for a race. We'll race too, said Charlotte. With a doll, sniggered George. Dressed in lace, snorted Paul. She's braver than all of you, said Charlotte. Dahlia raised her chin slightly, ready for the challenge. 1, 2, 3, the race began. Dahlia sat in front, bumping up and down, hair blown back. They won. Dahlia, Bruno, and Charlotte accepted the grand prize of a cracked but handsome cup. After saying thank you, they headed home. Oh, splendid day. They still had time to climb Charlotte's favorite tree. Up they went, Bruno in one pocket, Dahlia in the other, higher than they really should have gone. Dahlia sat far out on the branch to have a better view. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe Dahlia sneezed. She leaned too far over and fell down, down, and landed hard on the ground. Dahlia! Charlotte and Bruno climbed down. There she lay, lace and ribbons crumpled and torn. She smiled a little, not wanting to worry Charlotte too much. Charlotte grasped Dahlia and held her close. Poor Dahlia, Charlotte wept. My poor Dahlia. Charlotte ran all the way home, Bruno cradling Dahlia in the wagon bumping behind. What to do? Charlotte got out bandages and a bowl of warm water and plenty of towels. She bathed Dahlia and bandaged her arms and her legs and put her to bed. Bruno held Dahlia's hand while Charlotte read softly from her favorite book. Finally, Dahlia's eyes opened. She felt as good as new. Charlotte brushed Dahlia's hair and straightened her dress. She brushed Bruno too. And I'd better do the same. Downstairs, a door opened. There were voices in the hall. "Charlotte, your Aunt Edmie is here." "Quickly, it's time to go down," whispered Charlotte. There was Aunt Edmie, frail hands folded in her lap. She was wearing lace and linen and silk ribbons, looking just the way Dahlia had in her box that morning. "Charlotte, dear, how do you like your new doll?" asked Aunt Edmie. Bruno and I like her very much. She has become our best friend," said Charlotte. "May I see the doll?" asked Aunt Edmie. Charlotte held Dahlia up for Aunt Edmie to see. She was muddy and torn, hair tangled in knots, but her face was softened into a sweet, warm smile. Aunt Edmie studied the doll. And then Aunt Edmie smiled too. "When I saw your doll in the shop window, I thought she needed to be out in the sunshine and played with and loved. I knew that is just what you would do for her. I only wish I could make mud pies and be tossed in the air, but I'm too old." Aunt Edmie kissed Charlotte and Dahlia on the cheek. She shook Bruno's paw. And from then on, Dahlia made mud cakes and climbed trees and rode with Bruno and was loved by Charlotte forever after. And that was Dahlia by Barbara McClintock. I hope you enjoyed that book as much as I enjoy that book. And I hope that you have a toy that is as beloved as Dahlia is and that you have a great time playing with it. Have a great day.